let's forget politics for a moment. Forget who's right or wrong. We're about to run a scientific simulation. It all starts with a single order. A key turned in a lock, a button being pressed. We're going to walk through a data-driven timeline of what happens next, in the minutes, the hours, and the years after a global nuclear exchange. In hidden silos across continents, and from the silent, crushing depths of the ocean, massive engines ignite. The launch codes have been verified. And from this very moment, there is absolutely no turning back. The world is now on a path to irreversible destruction. You see, in a scenario like this, the very idea of winning is, well, it's meaningless. It doesn't apply. The only thing that matters anymore is survival. And as this simulation is going to show, even that is measured in the most desperate terms, starting with that first catastrophic hour. So, let's begin the simulation. Let's start the clock. These first 60 minutes, they're not a war in any sense of the word we understand. It's just pure, systematic annihilation on a planetary scale. All across the globe, silo doors are blasted open. Hundreds of intercontinental ballistic missiles roar into the sky on pillars of fire, and they're joined by their counterparts, launched from submarines deep beneath the waves. They are, for all intents and purposes, unstoppable. No defense system that we have can possibly intercept all of them. The whole sequence is just terrifyingly quick. Within 5 minutes, the sky is already full. At the 30-minute mark, the first detonations happen over major cities. And then, just a minute later, the physical force arrives, a shockwave that just flattens everything for miles. The first thing anyone on the ground would experience isn't a sound, it's light, an impossibly bright flash that instantly and permanently blinds you. And a split second after that, a thermal pulse radiates outwards, so intensely hot it doesn't just burn, it vaporizes matter, permanently etching shadows of people and objects into the ground. You have to understand, the initial explosion is just the beginning. Now, the cities themselves become the fuel. Ruptured gas lines, fuel depots, entire buildings. They create what are known as super fires that consume entire metro areas. And these aren't normal fires. No, they generate their own weather. Literal tornadoes of flame that can melt asphalt and suck all the oxygen out of the air, suffocating anyone who even managed to make it to a shelter. And the result of this first hour? A death toll that is, well, it's almost impossible to comprehend. 500 million people. Gone. And that's just the beginning. That number only counts the direct effects of the blast, the heat and the shockwave. For anyone who actually survives that initial hour, the world they knew is over. The complex systems that keep our modern lives going have been instantly and irrevocably shattered. At the same time all this is happening on the ground, several bombs are detonated high up in the atmosphere for one specific purpose: to generate an electromagnetic pulse, or an EMP. You can think of it as this invisible wave of energy that radiates across whole continents, frying any unshielded electronic device. In a single, silent moment, the modern world is completely unplugged. The effects are immediate and total. Power grids fail. Cars with modern computers just stop dead in their tracks, creating impassable gridlock on every single highway. Planes literally fall out of the sky. The world goes silent, and it goes dark. As those massive mushroom clouds climb into the stratosphere, they carry tons and tons of irradiated debris with them. This mixes with the moisture in the air, and, hours later, it starts to fall back to Earth. For survivors desperate for water, this thick, black, oily rain might seem like a blessing. They have no way of knowing they're drinking a fatal dose of radiation. The medical system simply ceases to exist. Hospitals are dark, they're without power, without supplies, without clean water. Doctors and nurses are among the victims. With no antibiotics, a simple cut becomes a death sentence. There is no help coming for anyone. So, the immediate horrors of the blasts are over, but now they give way to a slower, more relentless killer. The war has now triggered a global climate catastrophe, one that's going to fundamentally change the planet itself. Those raging firestorms, they've pumped an estimated 150 million tons of black soot high up into the stratosphere. And this isn't like normal smoke from a fire. It's going to stay suspended up there for years, forming this dark shroud around the entire planet. This layer of soot basically acts like a planetary shield, blocking out the sun's light and its warmth. The effect is catastrophic. Global temperatures plummet by as much as 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. It might be the middle of July, but it's starting to snow, everywhere. A new artificial ice age has just begun. The consequences for biology are absolute. Without sunlight, photosynthesis grinds to a halt. Plant life across the entire planet withers and dies. What this means is that the very foundation of the global food chain has just been completely cut. It's gone. All of our staple crops, wheat, corn, rice, they all fail within just a few weeks. Livestock, with absolutely nothing to eat, die next. Supermarkets, they were looted in the first few days of panic. Whatever little stored food still exists becomes the only real currency in a world that is consumed by hunger. The scientific models are chillingly clear about what happens next. The Great Famine that follows this nuclear winter, it becomes the single greatest killer in this entire catastrophe. An estimated 5 billion people, the vast majority of those who even survived the bombs, will starve to death. Decades later, a tiny, tiny fraction of humanity might still be clinging to existence. But the Earth they inherit is a profoundly alien and hostile world. And in a final cruel twist of irony, as that soot slowly begins to clear and the sun finally returns, the surface of the planet becomes even more dangerous. How? Because the nitrogen oxides from the explosions have completely destroyed the planet's protective ozone layer. Earth is now defenseless against the sun's lethal ultraviolet radiation. This quote from Einstein really captures the outcome perfectly. Any surviving pockets of humanity would be reduced to a primitive state. All our knowledge of technology would just become myth, legends. It would be a new Stone Age, but on a poisoned planet, with survivors scavenging through the ruins of a world they can't even remember. It is absolutely crucial to remember that this entire simulation, it's not a prophecy. It is a scientifically grounded possibility. It is a warning based on the very real weapons that sit waiting, right now, in silos and submarines around the world. The technology for this level of self-destruction, it's a human invention. And that leaves us with a profound and incredibly urgent question. We are the only species we know of that is capable of causing its own extinction. Are we also the species capable of choosing not to?